Yes.
Yeah. So good evening everyone. So yesterday we discussed what is two-tier architecture, three-tier architecture, and what is multi-tier architecture. Right? So today we will discuss what performance testing life cycle. Okay. Today we will discuss performance testing life cycle, and let me update it here. Right. So let's understand, what is meant by performance testing lifecycle. Previously, I already explained what is testing lifecycle, isn't it? I already explained what is testing lifecycle. Yes or no? Right. So we understood what is testing lifecycle here. Now let's understand what is this performance testing lifecycle. Means what all phases will be there in performance testing, from begin to end. Right. So let's understand this. Let me make this big. Suppose a client, any organization want to conduct performance testing for their application, right? Say for example, IRCTC or or Redbus or any other client want to do performance testing for their application, right? They have a web application. Assume that a client has a web application and they want to do performance testing for their application. So for that, they want to they need to finalize some vendor, right? Some service-based company like some Tech Mahindra or TCS or CTS or something, isn't it? So or SBI want to do performance testing. Currently, Tech Mahindra is doing performance testing for SBI, State Bank of India, right? So suppose if it is the beginning of if it is the first time that they are doing performance testing and they want to invite the bids for that, right? So for that, what they do is they will float something called, the client will float something called RFI. RFI stands for request for information, right? RFI stands for request for information. Yes, I did share this to you. Okay, I think I did not share. I didn't get all your email address. I will share this, notes to you. The next term is RFP, which stands for request for information, request for proposal. Yeah. Request for information, request for proposal. Right. So once the client floats an RFI, right, request for information. So these service-based companies like Tech Mahindra, TCS or CTS or or Infosys, they will respond to that RFI. They will be having sales team. These service-based companies will be having sales team and they will be looking for clients, isn't it? Their job is to get the clients, to get business. The sales team, they will receive those RFIs. I mean, they will be collecting those RFIs and they will be They will be sending that RFIs to the technical team. Okay. And what does an RFI contain? So let's understand what is an RFI contain. As I said, the RFI stands for request for information. So RFI contains some standard set of questions like this. Let me show you one sample RFI or something. Okay. So UBC, University of British Columbia. They wanted to do performance testing for their application, for their university application. Yeah, they wanted to do performance testing for this university application. So they floated this RFI. So basically, client asked these questions like, what portion of your business is dedicated to performance testing? And that service-based company, they have responded saying that we have dedicated competency groups for all types of testing activity, and 12% of our total business is from performance testing assignments. So basically, client want to know about the capability of the service-based companies. So for that, they will throw some questions like this: how many full-time, part-time, or contract performance testing staff members are there at your company? So we responded saying that we have more than 400 full-time associates working on various performance testing and monitoring assignments, performance testing or monitoring assignments across the organization, and all our performance testing staff is of full-time only, right? And what are the typical roles and responsibilities of your performance test team structure? So they will send some standard questions like this one. You will have around 10 to 15 questions. Here I have masked the service company, that service-based company name, guys. Okay. So if it is CTS, like it will be CTS here, right? Or if it is TCS, it will be TCS here. You understood, right? I have masked it with a placeholder. These are called as placeholders. Clear, guys?
Yes.
I hope there is no confusion here. Guys, able to follow me?
Yes, it's like a template, right?
Yeah, it's like a it's like you'll have some standard set of questions, and each service-based company who received that RFI, they will be responding to this. Let me give some examples. Suppose you want to buy a flat, okay? You want to buy a flat, and you post your requirement in some Magic Bricks or 99 acres that this is my location, this is my preferred location, and this is my budget. I want 2 BHK or 3 BHK, and this is my budget, and this is what I am looking for. Right now, different developers will be responding to you, right? Saying that they may be calling you, saying that we came across your requirement, so we have in so and so area, and this is the budget, and so on and all, right? So in the same way, when client wants to, this particular client, they want to do performance testing for this university application. So they have floated an RFI, and we have responded. I was working in a service-based company at that time, so I responded for this, right? I'm part of performance testing team, and I responded to their RFI with this information. Clear, guys? Yes. So whatever questions they asked, right? I responded to those questions. What is the number of concurrent performance projects of your company typically takes on? So at that time, we have 60 plus concurrent projects that are running across the organization. Okay. As of now, on an average, we'll have 60 plus. At that moment, there are 80 projects running on, 80 different projects running on, right? And describe the process of how do you resolve issues brought up by your customers, right? And this is our response, right? This is their question, the client question, and this is our response. Clear, guys?
Yes, sir.
And describe the staff turnover rates and the process. So different, each client may be sending different questions, different queries, right? So we have responded to that, to their RFI, and they will consolidate all this. They will go through all these RFIs, and whatever they like, right? So whatever RFI they like, they will they will shortlist few of them. They will shortlist few of the service-based companies, and they will. The next step would be RFP, request for proposal. Okay, request for proposal. So just like suppose some builders responded to your query, right? Then you may ask for them for a quotation, right? They will give you some quotation, right? So this RFP is almost similar to that quotation thing. They, the builder will give you a price quote, right? So for this 2 BHK, first they will ask you the requirement. What is what are you exactly looking for? Whether you are looking for a 2 BHK, 3 BHK, or 4 BHK, right? Then they will give you a customized quote to you, isn't it? They will give you a price quotation to you. So this RFP is something similar to that quotation. So basically, in this step, what happens is, client will explain the service-based company their requirement. So this is what I want to do performance testing. These are the different types of tests I want to do, and so on, right? Now the service-based company will prepare a proposal solution document for them, right? The service-based company will prepare a solution document for them. That is called as, the request is called as RFP, request for proposal, and service-based company will give you a proposal to them. And I'll show you one RFP also. How does an RFP looks like? Let me search for some RFP. Recording. So basically in the RFP phase, right, in the solution document phase, so senior level team members will be involved, like team lead or project leads will be involved, and they will be preparing a solution document. I'll share you a template for the solution document, or I'll share you a sample document. Okay, later on I'll mail you, right? So we'll prepare a solution document, and once the client goes through all this, and it includes the billing rates also, right? So client will, the service-based company will list out these details in the solution document. Let me put it in your notes. So what does this solution proposal contains is, what are the different types of testing that we are going to. So it will contain a solution for that, for the requirement. Solution document with number of resources required, right? Required and billing rates, timelines, and so on, right? So it will contain these, these details. Solution document with the proposal or with the solution for that particular solution for the particular requirement. Number of how many resources will be required to complete that project, right? And billing rate. Billing rate means how much they are going to charge. The service-based company going to charge for how much they are going to charge for a software engineer. Right? A team may be something like this: so one software engineer, one senior software engineer, one team lead. Let's say I'll give you some numbers: 2 software engineers, 1 SSC, senior software engineer, 1 team lead or project lead, right? Project lead, and the solution document contains billing rates also. Billing rates means it will be something like this: some $25 per hour. $25 per hour for software engineer, and some $30 per hour for senior software engineer, something like that. And some $50 per hour for some for team leader, project lead. So this is what billing rate means. Okay. Clear, guys? And there will be 2 types of bids here. Okay, so this is so these are the billing rates, and the bids can be of 2 types. Okay, fixed bid and and T&M. Fixed bid or T&M. Okay, based on the client requirement. So some clients may ask you for T&M. T&M means time and material. What is T&M, guys? Time and material. So I'll explain the difference between both of them. Time and material. Okay. Suppose you want to construct a house. Let's take one more example. Suppose you want to construct a house and you inquire with some contractors, right? They may propose you 2 models. The first one is to construct the complete building. He may quote some 10 lakhs amount, total amount, right? Or he may ask he may tell you, you can pay me on a daily basis. Suppose today, every day 5 workers come, right? Let's assume that he want to deploy 5 workers per day, and he may ask you pay me per day amount per day for each resource, for each worker, and you get the material, or else material I will get it. This is how you have this, how much you have to pay, right? So there will be 2 types of billing, right? So fixed bid or T&M. Clear, guys? Did you understand that with that example?
Yes.
So in the same way, service-based company may tell you we will do the whole assignment, whole project in some $10,000 or $20,000, something like that. Or they may also suggest you this model, time and material. So in this time and material, these comes up, right? For SC software engineer, $25 per hour. For senior software engineer, $30 per hour. A team lead or project lead, $50 per hour. So based on the number of hours effort, we will be charging. Client will be charged based on the effort, time and effort. Time and material means here, time and effort here, right? So these are the different bidding models. And once client gets the, so he will not check with you alone. He will not check with one service-based company. He may be checking with 4 to 5 service-based companies, and whatever solution he likes, and as per their budget and all, they will finalize one service-based company. They will choose one service-based company, right? And they will give the project to one of those, right? So multiple companies will be competing for the project list, for your information, right? So whenever a client floats an RFP, so multiple companies like Infosys or CDS or TCS or Tech Mahindra, multiple companies may be competing for that. So whatever the client likes, whatever service-based company the client likes are, are the terms and conditions if they like it, right? So they will award, the client will award that company to one particular service-based company, right? And now they got the project. Let's assume that Tech Mahindra got a project. Now the next phase is requirement gathering phase. From here onwards, the whole team will be involved, right? Till here, RFI and RFP phase, only team leads or project leads or managers will be involved along with the sales team. For sales thing, they will have a separate team. Any organization will have a separate team for sales, right? So in this first phase, right, RFI and RFP phase, sales team and senior resources or managers will be involved. Team lead or project managers will be involved. So once we get the project, right, then the whole team will be involved from here. For the next phase is called requirement gathering. Now what happens is the whole team will have a regular meetings with the client and they will collect the requirements, detailed requirements here. And these requirements are called as NFR. NFR stands for non-functional requirements, right? We already discussed, performance testing is also called as non-functional testing, right? So, requirements gathered for performance testing are called as non-functional requirements, NFR, right? And all the team members will be involved in this requirement gathering phase, right? And then what they do is, once they collect all the requirements, team will prepare a document called test plan document, right? Team will prepare a document called test plan document, and they will share it with the client, and for their approval. They'll share the test plan document to the client for the approval. Let me show you one, test plan document also. I have one test plan document here. All right. So let's assume that this is the client. CMS is the client. Right. And this is a performance test plan document and results template. So basically, what does a test plan document? We'll discuss the test plan document in detail. So basically, like, what does a test plan document contains is this is the information that it contains: project background and scope, means what is the objective of doing performance testing, and what is the load model, what are the performance requirements, right? So it will contain, test plan document contains all this information, test scripts, steps, right? So yesterday we discussed what are the critical business flows of the application. For each application, we discussed some critical business flows, right? So that critical business flows will be mentioned over here in the test plan document. Are you able to follow, guys? And what are the different types of testing that we are going to do, right? How many tests we are going to do, right? And so this is a detailed document, which we will have to prepare based on the requirements. Once we collect the requirements, we will prepare a test plan document, and based on the information that we gathered, and we should get a sign off from the client. Sign off means we should share the test plan document with the client, and client should approve that, okay, I'm okay with the test plan, or else he may suggest some changes. Okay. The importance of this test plan is, once the testing is completed, right, client should not say that, no, this is not what I asked you to test, right? That should not happen. So to avoid any such miscommunication and arguments later on, right? So we'll prepare a test plan document based on the requirements that we collected, and we'll get a signature. We'll get a sign off. Sign off means client should formally approve that test plan on a mail, right? Not on the calls, but it should be on a mail. Clear? And once we get a sign off from the client, then scripting will be started, right? We already discussed, first we will correct what are the critical business business flows of the application. Yesterday we discussed, I think in the previous session we discussed, for the net banking application, what would be the critical business flows, isn't it?
Yes.
Right? And I think you are aware of that, right? So or else, let me know. Did I mention it in your document, Google document, in your class notes? Okay, I'll put it into here. Okay, let me 1 second, guys. Please give me a second. Let me find out that. Yeah, so I got it. Right? So here we discussed in one of the previous sessions, we discussed what are the important business flows of any application. Like for Amazon or Flipkart or JioMart, these are the critical business flows, right? If it is a net banking application, these would be the critical business flows, right? And for a travel application, this would be the critical business flows, right? So we'll mention all this in the test plan document, whatever we collected from the client, right? Based on the client requirement, based on the application. So we'll collect all this information from the critical business flows from the client, and we will provide that in the test plan document, in this test plan document. Okay, right? So and we will provide step-by-step navigation for each script. I'll show you one Excel sheet. Okay, so which we will be using for scripting, right? I'll show you one Excel sheet. Let me show you one Excel sheet for that. Step for each business flow, right? For example, this is for user registration, guys. This is for user registration. Let's assume that this is our client. Okay, and these are the steps, like what we need to develop scripts for, right? We'll prepare a step-by-step document like this, navigation document like this, and we'll put all those into that whole document, right? And into that test plan document, right? And we will share it with the client, and we should get a sign-off before starting our work, right? Now, once we get a sign-off from the client may suggest some changes. So he may say that, no, this is not the correct flow. I need to add some more steps, right? He may suggest some changes. He's supposed to, review that document, the test plan document, and he is supposed to, approve or modify some change, suggest some changes in that document, right? Once we get a sign-off from the client, right, then we start scripting. Then we start, we pick each business flow and we start scripting for that. We start developing scripts for those business flows. Clear, guys?
Yes.
So, let's take this example, okay? JioMart came into market recently, right? JioMart was launched recently. Suppose they want to do performance testing for their application. So we will ask, first we need to ask this information. What are the steps in user registration, right? What are the critical business flows, first of all? What are the different critical business flows of critical and important business flows of your application, right? And client will provide a list of these critical business flows. Then we will take the step-by-step navigation. Client will give you demo on that. Like, this is how user can register to our application. This is how he can search product. This is how he can add to cart, right? They'll give you a demo of their application, walkthrough of their application. Walkthrough, we call that as walkthrough, right? And based on that, we will prepare a document like this. We'll prepare a document like this, and we will put all these steps into a Word document, right? This test plan, the whole test plan, and we should get a sign off. And then once we get the sign off, we will start developing scripts for each of them, right? One script for user registration, one script for search, and so on. Clear, guys, so far?
Yes.
Right? So once the scripting is completed, right? Suppose we just discussed now. So your team may be like your team. There may be some two software engineers, and one SSC, one TL and PL, right? So each one of us will be working on the scripts, right? For example, there are 10 scripts. So these 3 guys will be distributing that scripts, like 3 scripts per head, and they may be working on the script development. Clear? And SSC may be taking one more scripts, right? So let's say on an average, any application will have around 10 scripts on an average. Okay, any 10 scripts or 10 business flows, important business flows. Now what they will do is the team members will distribute those scripts among themselves, and they will start working on those scripts, right? So if there are 10 scripts and 2 SSC, 2 software engineers and 1 SSC, let's say for example 2 into 3 6 scripts, and this guy may be taking 4 scripts here, and work will be divided in that manner. And team lead and project lead, they will be involved in the communication, and they will be acting as a POC, point of contact with the client. POC stands for point of contact, single point of contact. We call that as POC or SPOC. SPOC means single point of contact. Means a whole team will not communicate with the client, but some team lead or project lead will be communicating on behalf of the team, right? And he will be getting all the information. All the guys will be in the call, but mostly team lead or project lead will be communicating actively with the client, right? And we call him as SPOC, single point of contact. So you understood, right? What would be the role? So these guys will be involved in these two guys, this SE and SSC, they will be involved in scripting, test executions and all. And if you want to communicate something or get some information from the client, team lead or project lead will be taking care of that, preparing the test plan document or or reviewing the progress, right? So script, giving demos to the client, that will be done by this team lead or project lead. Clear, guys? Guys are able to follow, guys?
Yes.
Right? Now, so once the scripting is completed, right, someone should review the scripts. The purpose is, so some resources may not be doing correctly, right? Just to make sure that the scripts are working fine, someone should review your work. All right, that is called script review here. Here, someone should review your scripts. So in this case, suppose your team lead should be reviewing your scripts, right? Or SSC should be reviewing the scripts of these two guys, right? Clear, guys? So some senior resource in the team will be reviewing the scripts, and they will do sanity testing of the script. Means they will be testing each script and verifying whether it is working fine or not as per the requirement. Clear, guys? Suppose it is user registration, we have to verify, you have to execute the script, run that script and verify whether the script is doing the user registration or not correctly, and whether scripting standards, and there will be some scripting standards and naming conventions. Okay, so we will verify whether the resource followed the scripting standards or not, scripting standards and naming conventions or not, right? So this is the next phase. So once this is done, we will set up the test environment. Okay, we'll set up we already discussed, we will not do performance testing on production environment. We already discussed this. For testing, for performance testing, we should have a separate test environment. So we'll set up the test environment, right? And once the test environment is set up, we will do a smoke test or sanity or dry run. These are all one and the same, right? All these terms are one and the same, right? So this is nothing but a trial run. Trial run means here in sanity testing, we ran each scripts individually, one by one, right? Here what we do is we'll run all the scripts together, all the 10 scripts. If you assume that there are 10 scripts in an application, we will run all the 10 scripts in the test environment, right? This is called as dry run. This is called as a dry run or trial run, or a shakeout test, or sanity test, or smoke test. Different organizations follow different terminology. I have provided all the different terminology which is used across the organizations, right? And what is the purpose of this? To identify any script issues or environment issues, we do this smoke test or sanity test or shakeout test, or a dry run or a trial run, right? All these terms are one and the same. Clear, guys?
Yeah.
Right? So generally, like a team lead will be doing this, executing this dry run, and he will identify if there are any script issues or environment issues, test environment issues or test data issues, right? And once if you find any defects in the scripts, the corresponding resource will be working on that, right? And once the smoke dry run is done or trial run is done, then we will do the actual test executions, right? And we already discussed these different types of tests, like load test, test test, soak test, and so on. So what is a load test, Kiran? What is meant by a load test?
Gradually, sir.
Yes.
Load test means with expected or normal user load. It can run for 1 to 2 hours.
Right. So load test is something which we do with expected user load, right, for 1 to 2 hours. So we already discussed the different types of testing, isn't it? We already discussed this load testing, what is load testing, what is endurance testing, what is test testing, spike testing, and so on, isn't it? So we will be executing those tests, whatever the application requires is, by the way. So not all applications require all the tests. Okay, based on the application, we will decide what type of test does it require, and we will execute those tests, right? And once we execute the test, right, we will be providing a report. And in the reporting phase, there will be two types of reports. Reports can be of two types. One is high level report, The other one is detailed report. So what is the difference between these two is high level reports should be shared to the client, immediately after the test. Once the test is completed, within 2 to 3 hours or 3 to 4 hours, on the same day, client will expect a high level report, right? And high level report. So I'll explain later on what does a high level report contain and what does a detailed report contain. I'll explain later on. For now, remember that as soon as the test is completed, on the same day, we have to share a report to the client called high level report, right? And after some 1 or 2 days, right, we will share detailed report with all the details, all the required details. We will be preparing a detailed report. So basically here we will take 1 day or 2 days for preparing the detailed report, and we will be sharing it to the client, right? And also we will be analyzing the test results and providing any recommendations, right? So if you take this example, let's say for example, you have a vehicle and you are not getting a mileage, right? So let's say for example, it's not giving a good mileage. So you will take to a mechanic and automobile engineer or a mechanic, and you will you will say what is the problem, right? Then what does he do? He will do a trial run. He will go for a test ride, and he will see how the engine beating is, how is and all this, how is the engine condition and all this, clutch, brakes and all this condition, and he will tell you what should be done, isn't it? He will tell you whether your vehicle requires a servicing or some replacement of the parts or some tuning. Yes or no, guys?
Yes, sir.
So in the same way, once we execute a test here, as a performance test engineer, we have to analyze the application, the test results, and we need to provide some recommendations to get better performance from the application, right? Or if there are any issues found, for example, after some load from when there are some 5,000 users accessing the application, let's assume that you found some issues when you are doing a load test, right? At 5,000 user load, you got some issues like response times are high, or if you are seeing page not found, etc. So you have to analyze what is the reason for that issue, what is the root cause of that issue, and you have to provide some recommendation, right? Means this is where you have to tune your application. These are the changes required in your application, like that, right? Once you make some recommendations, right, client will do those, the development team will be doing that, and they will tell you, yes, we have implemented the changes suggested by you, right? Then to validate the changes, right, we do another round of testing, validation of application tuning. See, for example, you gave your vehicle for servicing and he did it and he gave you, right? So you will go for a test ride and see whether to see if the vehicle is performing good or not, isn't it? Or once you receive it, right, you will check the mileage again to verify whether the issue is fixed or not. Or you will see the pickup and mileage and all to verify whether the issue is fixed or not. Yes or no?
Yes.
Right? So in the same way, we suggested some changes to the application. Performance testing team suggested some changes to the application, and development team will be doing that. Development team or DBA will be doing that. To validate that tuning, right, that application changes, right, we do another round of testing till all the bottlenecks are eliminated. All the bottlenecks means till the performance issues are eliminated, right? We validate those changes, and again we may ask, no, this issue is not yet resolved, so you may provide some other recommendations, right? And the development team will do those changes, and again you do another round of testing. Basically, this is to validate the application tuning and eliminate the bottlenecks, to eliminate any issues in the application, right? And once all these performance issues are identified and eliminated, we will prepare a final report and again ask for a sign-off. Sign-off means closure of the project, right? So we will prepare a final report and ask the client that the assignment was completed successfully, right? So that is the final sign-off. So these are the different phases in a performance testing project test, right? These are the different phases in any performance testing project. I'll take a pause here. Any queries? Any queries on this?
No, sir.
Let me pause recording.